Hey guys, it's Audra and welcome back to my channel. I am here today with my January book haul, which was not planned. My plan was to do quarterly book hauls this year, but I went a little overboard and ended up with 12 books for the first month of 2018. So I figured I'd put them all in one video and move on and try to do better, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. So let's just get into the books that I ended up bringing home this month. The first book of 2018 that I brought home was The Diviners by Libba Bray. This is raved about all over BookTube, so of course I had to check it out. And I wanted this specific cover so that it matched the other ones. And so I had to get it from Barnes & Noble. I don't know if it's printed anywhere else. But I have read this. I loved it. You can check it out in my wrap-up for the month, which I'll leave a link down below to that. But basically, this is a historical fiction 1920s mixed with like paranormal and murder mystery, and it is so good. I love all the characters and the diversity within those characters. If you have not read this trilogy, definitely check it out. I love this so much, and I listened to the audiobook, and I'm going to do it again, but I wanted the copies for my shelves because they are beautiful, and I loved it so much that I needed to buy the second book. So I also ended up later in the month buying Lair of Dreams. This is the second book in the trilogy, and I cannot wait to get started in on this one. The third book I've mentioned in a couple other videos, so you're probably sick of hearing it by now, is Neon Soul by Alexandra Elle. This is a poetry collection by a beautiful African-American woman, and she is an amazing poet. At least I think her poems like hit me where it hurts. This one is about self-love and self-care, and I just found so many connections with my own journey of being a breast cancer survivor, as well as grief through the loss of my brother, and it's just amazing. And it's short. I definitely am going to be adding her other book to my February haul, so I think that whole idea of quarterly book haul is going down the drain, because I have to have everything she writes, so. While I was picking up Neon Soul, I also picked up City of Bones, the first in the Mortal Instruments. I wanted this specific one from Barnes & Noble in case I wanted to read the others, and so like it builds a scene. There's a word. It builds a scene on the spine, so I got this because Emma Books was doing a read-along this year. She is doing a read-along this year. And I figured if I'm going to do it, I might as well read along with other people. I have started it. I only got that far. Honestly, I'm thinking this is not really my thing. It's a fantasy read about a whole bunch of different kind of demons and angels and vampires and werewolves and how they're created and how they're fighting each other. And the way my brain works anytime, but especially with residual chemo brain, I cannot track all these people and all these places for the life of me. And if it's that bad going in that far, I cannot imagine what 20 books in this whole saga of Mortal Instruments, I guess. I don't know. So I'm probably going to DNF this and donate it to the high school little free library. The next book I picked up was one I've already talked about before. This is Words in Deep Blue by Cath Crowley. It was my favorite book of 2018 because of my connection with the read, with grief and a love of books. So I raved about it in my favorites of 2017, so I'll leave that down below so you can check it out. I had read it through the library, and so I needed my own copy so I could keep all of my little book darts in my own copy and hopefully reread it at some point. So I'm so excited to have this. And the cover is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Love it. Now, the next three that I have to share with you are from Book of the Month. And I love Book of the Month because you get a book that's normally $30 full price for $14.99 a month. And this time I had a free credit, as well as any extra book you add on, they're only $9.99. So I ended up bringing home 3. So these 3 books that would normally be roughly $85 full price, I got for $20. And they're brand spanking new. So the first one I snagged for the month was As Bright as Heaven by Susan Messner. And I was at the time reading A Bridge Across the Ocean and really loving her style of writing and connecting the past and the present. So I'm hoping this one does this. I don't really know, honestly. This is about World War I, which isn't my normal pick of reading about history, but I'm excited to try something new. I'm hoping the ending was not a letdown like the other one that I read, so we will see. Crossing my fingers. The next two I added were actually dystopia, which I don't get into a whole lot, but this one obviously has been raved about a lot. It is The Power by Naomi Alderman, and from my understanding, this is about a place and time where essentially women have the power of electricity in their hands, and it's the shift of a patriarchy to a matriarchy type deal where women hold all the power and men are kind of like the submissive ones. I guess this is kind of what I've heard. I've heard nothing but great things about this, and I can't wait to dig into this one. And the last one I picked up from Book of the Month this month was Lenny Zumas's Red Clocks. This is another dystopian about how the American government has banned in vitro fertilization and abortion. And it's a connection of 5 women experiencing these issues through the course of the story, and I'm definitely intrigued by this. As my breast cancer journey began, I had to do fertility preservation, so there's a possibility in the future that to conceive a child, I would have to do IVF. So this may hit home a little too hard, but we shall see. Another one I picked up this month was Love, Hate, and Other Filters. I have heard, again, nothing but rave reviews for this book by Samir Ahmed. And I think this might be a debut novel, which is awesome. It's a YA that touches on some very diverse, sensitive topics, including just a Pakistani American girl living in the United States, and she wants to pursue her dreams of going to film school in New York City. And then a terrorist attack happens, and the terrorist has the same last name as she does. So then it dives into Islamophobia. And I've heard this is powerful. I've heard that everyone should be reading this, and I cannot wait to get into this. This will probably be one of my reads for the Contemporary-thon, so spoiler alert for that video that will be coming soon. But I am super excited to have this one in my hands. This next one was a weird purchase for me. I got Ink by Alice Broadway, and honestly, I picked it up because this is the most beautiful cover I have ever seen. And then wait for it, the naked one is almost even better. How beautiful is this one? And the end pages. This is a gorgeous book, but I'm hoping the content is just as good as the inside. I am kind of confused about what it is actually about because the inside of the dust jacket and the back are not in any relation to one another. So because of that, I am just going to read the back blurb to you. It says, "We are surrounded by the dead, and for as long as their books are still read and their names are still spoken, they live. Everyone has the skin books in their homes. Our shelves are full of my ancestors. I can breathe them in, touch them, and read their lives. But it was only after my father died that I saw the book of someone I'd really known." So, it sounds interesting. And then when I look on the inside cover jacket, it says that her father dies, and it's his skin that tells the story. So I'm wondering if this is like tattoos. I don't really know, but I can't wait to find out. Another one I ended up with was the audiobook of Thunderhead by Neal Shusterman via my Audible subscription. And so I've already talked about this in a couple different videos, including my wrap-up for January, so I will leave that link down below. Once again, check it out if you want to know what I thought about this one. But basically, this is just the second book in the Sky series, so I can't tell you a whole bunch about it, other than this is a world, another dystopia, weirdly enough, a world where there's no war, famine, hunger, disease, and the only way to really die is if a sky comes to take you. And so this is the second book. Pick up the first one. It's totally worth it. I love this series, but check out my wrap-up from last month to figure out more thoughts on this. And the last book I picked up for the month was The Shadow of the Wind. This is my recommendation pick for last month, and I've been listening it via audiobook through the library, and it's outstanding, but I wanted the physical copy. The American cover is dull. So I got this through Book Depository, and I wasn't sure if it was going to come in time or not, but this cover is amazing. It actually reminds me a lot of the style of The Diviners and the way that it's printed. But basically, this is a story set in 1945 about a man named Daniel, and he falls in love with this book, and he realizes that all the books by his favorite author have been burned. And he goes throughout this like journey and mystery, and there's a lot of talk about the history during this time of figuring out why, who did it, and if he can find the author himself. So I'm enjoying it. It's an 18-hour audiobook, and it's pretty lengthy. So I hope I can stick with it because it is very good, and it was a recommendation from a friend. So those are all the books that I bought for January. I can't even begin to hold them up in one frame, so I'm not going to try. Like I said, I'm going to try to get my act together and buy a little less and maybe get some more from the library. But it's hard being on BookTube and seeing everything that everyone's talking about, and when you want it in your hands like right away, it's hard to wait for the library to get them in stock and to get them wrapped and to wait in line. So self-control is an issue over here if you can't tell. But I am excited to dig into all these books, and hopefully you will see them on my wrap-up for February. But definitely check out the links down below if you would like to see the wrap-up for January. If you want to check out Contemporary-thon TBR, that will be down there too, as well as my Book of the Month link, so you can get a free book and I can get a free book, and we can all be happy readers. So until next time, I'll see you later. Bye, guys.